Hey everybody, I'm busting this video out real quick while I come back from my daughter's school, picking up school supplies for her kindergarten class, so that's why I'm walking. There's the school. I had a viewer ask about, well, they said that in terms of having Crumbs, narcissistic Crumbs, those are sort of the leftover personality traits that and little imprints that a narcissist leaves on your personality. And so a viewer commented that they've been dealing with their Crumbs for about 2 years and that they've started cutting off friendships because they can't tell if their friendships are toxic or if it's them. And they're sort of very confused about it, and they want to know kind of sort of how to go about detoxing their life and how to do that. And they asked the question if I've been through something like that before. The answer is resoundingly yes. I am far lonelier than I was in the past, but lonely is not exactly the word. Serenity is the operative word there, right? So you have to learn to reframe a lot of things. So when you're dealing with Narc Crumbs and trying to go through the healing process, there's a number of different angles that you gotta attack. You gotta not just look at the people around you, you have to look at the people that have come and gone through your life. So you have to look back through time, you have to look at your present situation, and you also have to have the maturity to look at yourself. And that is much easier said than done, because by default, when we look at ourselves, our behavior and our past, generally we do and say and act in ways that we feel are best. And so that becomes a lot more difficult to look at things like, well, maybe what I did was hurtful or mean in some other way, or perhaps that wasn't the best move or the right move. Now, sometimes there are things in our past where we can easily say that that was a bad move, but those are few and far between. And so you have to be able to look at your past, pick through your past, and really, really rethink a lot of things. So it's a lot, and you have to have a multi-directional approach. So I want to go into that. So first thing you need to do is redesign, re-architect your life to repel new toxic people from coming in and to repulse existing toxic people, and also in a manner that harbors relationships and fosters relationships with neurotypical, well-balanced, healthy people that have your best interest in mind. And that's key. You have to surround yourself with people who have your best interest in mind. And I can tell you, there's not very many of them. And I'll tell you how to find them. It starts with whose phone numbers do you have memorized? So that's the starting point, and then you weed it down from there. If somebody doesn't have your best interest in mind, like if you haven't made it to the point where you have their phone number memorized, well then they're not at that level, plain and simple. So that makes it easy to identify where to start. In terms of architecting your life to repel toxic people, there's 3 things, and I've done videos on this, and I mentioned this periodically from time to time on my channel. There's 3 things you can do to easily repel toxic people and keep them away. And that's this. 3 things. Number 1, make no your default answer, because you can always change it to yes, and it is much easier to go from no to yes than it is from a yes to a no. Normal people are not offended by a no. Plus, if it's something that's really, really important, then, they'll sort of advocate for it, and they don't get mad, right? They're just like, no, well, I can understand that. But if it's really, really something important, well, then, you can always work it out with them. However, toxic people are usually manipulators, and they're usually only involved with you because they want to take from you. And so when you tell a toxic person no, they tend to get really offended, really hurt, really pissed off, because they're not getting what they want, and then they become petulant. So you want to start making no your default answer. And especially, here's the sign. If you go to tell somebody no, and you're like, you instantly brace because you know they're going to get mad, that there is 100% the perfect sign that they are indeed toxic for you. And I should also point this out, that when I say toxic, you have to understand, it's a complex label. See, it's the relationship that's toxic. So you can be a good person, two good people can have a toxic relationship, right? And then two, what we would say bad people can have healthy relationships. And you can have a healthy relationship with a bad person, but a toxic relationship with a good person. Okay, so it's an independent dynamic. So when I say toxic, it's not a reflection on you or the other person. It really isn't. So, and a lot of people tend to take it that way. So, yeah, tell people no. The second thing you need to do, and with COVID going on, it's a little more difficult, but you need to host a monthly get-together, at least once a month. Go back to the 90s. Watch the movie Friday. Okay, before cell phones and social media and all that, everybody just hung out. You need to make a hangout at your place and invest the money and the effort to make your place the hangout. Okay? Toxic people are about themselves. They want the attention. They won't come over as much. And even if they do, then they'll start trying to put their own little flair and customizations into your get-together. Like if you have a football party, for example, you say, hey, we're having a football get-together. You want to come over? They're like, yeah, do you need me to bring anything? Yeah, bring some chips. Great. Oh, and I also have this, and I have this, and I have this, and I have some streamers, and I have a Go Texans banner that I can bring and hang it all up, and I can bring my grandmother's famous deviled eggs of diarrhea, and I can do all this other stuff and make this a great thing. And you're like, well, why are you going super extra? So there's that. But you need to host this regular get-together. This is my house. And just watch for the people who are constantly trying to either get you to come over to their place, like saying, hey, well, I just got this big screen TV, and I've got a much bigger living room, and I'm already set up. And see, because they've already done this, they know about this, they've invested already to be the hangout. And so to them, they see it as an investment lost instead of just seeing it as, your thing. So that's number 2. Number 3 is you need to invest in yourself. Do something that's either weekly, monthly, something that you pay to do. It can be something like a night course, or it can be jujitsu. It can be a cooking class. It can be an evening at the library. Going to the bookstore, buying new books, whatever that may be. If you have a set a budget for X amount of money per month, that you're going to spend on books, and then read them. Drive your ass to the bookstore or wherever, and leave your phone at home so that you get your books read. Carve out time and money to invest in yourself, because toxic people, number one, if a toxic person's like, hey, come on over and watch the big screen, you'd be like, I can't. I'm studying radiology. Why? Fun. Or you tell them, what it is you're doing. It's like, no, I got a cooking course tonight, I can't. So when you invest in yourself regularly, when you're putting value, because what this says, this raises your value, you're investing in your value as a human, right? And so your value is going to constantly go up. And toxic people aren't going to like that. And be like, oh, okay, Mr. Holier than thou, like eventually they're going to try to attack it, or they're going to try and validate themselves against it. Like, yeah, but I was really looking forward to you coming over. I haven't seen you and blah, blah, blah. And you're always doing this. You're always doing that. You never make time for me. Well, all they want to do is just know that they're more valuable than whatever it is that you're doing. And just be like, well, these are the days I'm free. Let's schedule for something for when I'm free. And so you move them around that. But all three of these things, these are things that you can do consciously. They're very easy, and you have to watch for the people who get, that it sticks in their craw a little bit, that you're doing these things. Because, like I said before, healthy people know and understand these things. Healthy people do these things. Healthy people will immediately recognize them and respect them. And that's the thing. Healthy people are going to always respect these activities when you do them as you do them. Toxic people will not. And again, I say toxic because we're not talking about good people and bad people. We're talking about the nature of the relationship. And so don't be confused if it's somebody at your church or somebody that you think is a really, really good person getting offended. And don't be surprised if you have somebody who you think is a bad person that totally gets it and totally respects it. A toxic relationship is independent of your nature as a person, okay? Hence, this is why you hear so many people, they get drunk and they're like, this is my friend, I love him. They're crazy as hell, but I love them, right? There you go. Healthy relationship with a bad person. Now, in terms of working on yourself internally, Narc, Crumbs, and cleaning house, and all the internal reflection, there's a great way to do that if you go to any bookstore. And I do recommend the bookstore route, because even though we have Amazon and everything online, in a bookstore you can just get so much done so much faster. In 5 minutes you can comb through 12 books and find one. So you go to an actual bookstore that sells books made of paper, and you go to the psychology section or the self-help section, and they're called workbooks, okay? Get a borderline personality disorder workbook. And I'm recommending borderline personality disorder for several reasons. Number one, it is the foundational disorder for cluster B disorders. So a narcissist has borderline at its core. A histrionic has borderline at their core. An antisocial person has borderline at their core. And a borderline has borderline at their core. So everything starts with the borderline disorder, and then the other disorders branch out as a means of coping with the borderline traits. So you want to do a borderline workbook. Why? Because narcissistic crumbs are, like I said in the beginning, those are traits you pick up from a narcissist. You are not a narcissist, but you have crumbs that you need to work through. You will find them in a borderline personality disorder workbook. Doesn't mean you're borderline, doesn't mean you're a narcissist, but if you want to know what you don't know, and believe me, you don't know what you don't know, so if you want to know what you don't know, get a borderline disorder workbook and work through it. 80% of it's not going to apply to you, but that 20% is going to be gold, okay? And you need to do it. The other thing, and this is a good recommendation, get books on DBT and CBT as well, dialectical behavioral therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy. It'll help you think things through and talk things through, okay? Again, those are both used in the management of borderline personality disorder. It works on all the other cluster B disorders because they all have borderline at their core. But you can't give something like that to somebody who's narcissistic, right? Or histrionic. Well, maybe a histrionic. Not an antisocial, because they just don't care about anything. They're nihilists. So get DBT, get CBT, and get a BPD workbook. That's a lot of acronyms, right? The last thing I will leave you with, good books for moving forward, because you want to move forward, meet new people. Excellent book by Joe Navarro called Dangerous Personalities. This is without a doubt, the indispensable encyclopedia of red flags. It has a bunch of questionnaires, so if you want to know if somebody's toxic in your life and you're not sure if they're a toxic person, if it's you or if it's them, they have little questionnaires that you can keep somebody in your mind, and you answer a bunch of questions, and it will tell you if they are a dangerous personality to you and how severe the threat is. And it's great because once I started doing it, man, I just started just busting it out about everybody, right? The book's awesome. It splits everything up into 4 dangerous personality types, so it's real simple. There's the paranoid, the predatory, the narcissistic, and the emotionally unstable. And so that eliminates all the jargon about borderline or narcissist or histrionic or schizotypal or any of these other ones. It's very simple, easy to understand. They're either predatory, or they're paranoid, or they're a narcissist, or they're emotionally unstable, right? And we see that with the people that go off and start fights, cause a lot of drama. You know, he cheats, so she keys his car and chops it up with a pickaxe and all this other crazy stuff, right? So that book is, you've got to have that book if you want to move forward and meet people who are good for you. You must have this book, and you must use it for every new person that you allow into your lives until you get the hang of it. You don't have to do it forever. Just a few times, you know. By the 30th or 40th person, you'll get the hang of it. No, I'm kidding. You know, it takes a few times, but then after that, you'll start to get the hang of it, and you won't really need to use it so much. But it is by far one of the best assets you can have. And one other book by Joe Navarro, and then that'll be it, is a book on body language called What Every Body Is Telling You. So chances are good, if you're like me, you tend to miss a lot of subtle social cues, like when girls shoot little looks at each other. It's like they're communicating with, you know, telepathy, and you have no idea what the hell they're doing or saying. Or you miss it. It's like, what? I don't understand. Or people will crack a joke at your expense, and you're not quite sure what's going on. It's a book on body language. It's how to incorporate what people's bodies are communicating versus what they're saying, because lies only exist in the realm of words. The human body cannot lie, which is absolutely amazing. The human body conveys exactly what you're feeling and thinking and wanting. And it's very, very simple to recognize contradictions very quickly. So another indispensable book, get them both. So you've got dangerous personalities, you've got What Everybody Is Telling You, you've got a BPD workbook, and then optionally CBT and DBT to help you out. You've got your 3 things: know your default answer, start hosting get-togethers smartly with the pandemic. You know, that can be a later thing. And then invest in yourself, raise your value, and just go for serenity. You're not losing friends. Stop thinking that way. Just because you go quiet doesn't mean you're losing friends or not friends anymore. You're seeking serenity, okay? And that's how you should think about it. Anyways, I hope this helps, man. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts. I want to hear from you guys. And as always, please like, comment, or share. I'll see you guys on the next video.